So in this video, I'm just going to make a kind of show you an example of how to present information in multiple ways to students, either as a way for them to compare them and talk about the similarities and differences and their preferences, or even just to create separate activities. So recently, I've been doing lessons related to the California or Southern California wildfire situation. So we started with talking about fire, of course, but then I was thinking, well, there's so many things to talk about here, right? Not just the fires themselves. So we do a lot of lessons in general on housing. I mean, it's one of the required units, or it's one of the units in every textbook, and it's often something that comes up with civics testing, and it's something they want to know about in general, right? So I was thinking, okay, let's tie those two together, especially because, fires are burning houses. And let's look at the insurance angle as well, because, this was in the news a lot. Now, I don't know the details of these stories, but there's a lot of reports of people's homeowners having their fire insurance canceled not too long before the fires happened. Now, I don't know if it was the homeowners deciding not to renew or putting off getting a new insurance provider. I don't know those details, but it is something that has come up in the news. So I thought that'd be a great topic to discuss, especially because a lot of our students are homeowners already, so they have a lot of information to share about the insurance side of that. And we also have a lot of students who are renters looking to buy in the future. And so they would definitely benefit from getting information about, the other part of owning a home. Usually when we think of getting a home or buying a home, we're thinking of down payments and mortgage payments, right? But we also know, and maybe we find out later after being a homeowner, is that homeowners insurance as well as maintenance costs and upkeep are a huge part of the cost of owning a home, besides the down payment and the mortgage, the cost of the house itself, basically. And so this way, not only can I teach them about that, I'm not even a homeowner, so there's a lot of things I don't know, but I can just kind of present that information and help them navigate it, from the language side of things. But also a lot of the students who are homeowners already can teach their classmates, and that's always a very valuable thing as well. It keeps the classroom very, very fun and interesting and dynamic. So let me get to my original point. So fire insurance. Okay, so let's say you want to show the students an article about fire insurance, right? So let's look fire insurance, Southern California. Let's see what pops up. Okay, here's the California Fair Plan. Okay, let's not do that. Actually, let's do earthquake insurance. Yeah, because I wanted to extend it from fire to earthquake, especially because earthquake is a separate coverage in the United States, in California. I don't know about other states. So let's look at this one. Nah. Okay, let's look at average cost. How about that? Okay, average cost of earthquake insurance. Okay. Smart Financial. I don't even know what this is, but let's take a look here. Okay. Type of insurance, what's not covered, what are factors to consider. Okay, so we have a lot of information here, right? So here's what I can do first. I can copy this website URL, and then I can go back to ChatGPT, and I can say, please take the information from this web page and make it accessible to ESL students. Okay, and then I'm going to put in the link, and let's see what it spits out. Okay, so these are actually kind of giving me summaries. Ooh, I like this one better. This is better for advanced students so they can read a lot. Okay, I'm going to go with this one first. Okay. So, yeah, and then I can refine this more. I can read it over, make some changes, but we'll just leave it like this for now. So, here's the information from that original web page here, and it's supposedly ChatGPT made it a little bit easier for ESL students to understand. Of course, I'll have to go over any vocabulary, maybe change some of the vocabulary, probably make a vocabulary list as well that students can read beforehand. We'll have discussion questions before and after, all those different things. But here's the text itself, modified for ESL students. Now, of course, that's usually what we see in the textbooks, and but that's not always how we get information, right? We get information in all sorts of ways. So this is more of your typical reading, something from a website, more formal academic language, technical language, things like that. So what you can also do is you can just say, make it a little more conversational. So present the same information, but imagine it's I don't want to say salesperson. Imagine it's an expert giving a talk to a room of people who are thinking of buying a home. Okay, how about that? Okay, so now it's repackaging that information in a way that's a little bit more conversational, but not too casual, because it's still someone who's kind of giving a more formal talk, right? So yeah, definitely the language has changed, and it's presenting that same information, but in a different way. All right. And I think what I'll do is I'll make these I'll make this text and these results available in a Google Doc, which will be available through the in the description here. So I'll make that link available. Okay, so that's great. Let's go back. Sorry. Now imagine that it's a okay, well, anyway, we'll leave it at that. So now I want to repackage that same content, but now I want to make it a dialogue. So take that same content from the web page and present it as a conversation between a married couple deciding whether or not to get earthquake insurance. Again, because earthquake insurance is, I believe it's supplemental insurance in addition to the typical homeowner's insurance. Okay, so that's giving us a conversation between Lisa and Mark. I always recommend changing the names. ChatGPT is going to give you the typical, I guess, English names, right? So you can always ask it to provide more linguistic variety or diversity or whatever. Okay. Okay, so now it's basically the same information, right? I mean, again, you want to go over it, you can add, you can subtract, you can omit, whatever you need to do. But basically, we're getting the same information as a conversation now, right? Again, it's presenting the content is mainly the same, but we're getting it in multiple ways or multiple. I'm not even sure what the right word is. Now, here's where things get interesting. Here's what I've been enjoying doing recently is a lot of conversations are kind of sterile in textbooks. And what I mean by that is they're very agreeable with the two speakers are very agreeable. There's really no conflict happening, or if there is conflict, it's not that dramatic, right? They lack a lot of character. So here's what I've been doing recently is I've been using conversation scripts and listening listening activities as an opportunity to help students develop their conversation strategies or communication strategies, how to deal with conflict, how to distract somebody, how to redirect the conversation, how to de-escalate, things like that. And sometimes just having fun conversations too, how to continue small talk, how to keep small talk going, how to end the conversation, how to start a conversation, how to maintain a conversation, things like that. So here's what I did recently. So actually, the couple should have opposing viewpoints on supplemental insurance. So let's say is very, Lisa is overly cautious. She wants to pay extra insurance at the expense of having more discretionary money, I guess. And then Mark feels that they are already paying for so many other insurance bills. And let's say health insurance, auto loans, student loans. That's not insurance, sorry. Auto insurance and their existing existing homeowners insurance. He feels that they have little spare money for enjoying life. Okay, here's where it gets interesting, right? Okay. Okay, so you see here, and I think I can blow this up a little bit. Okay. So you see here, right? Lisa is the overly cautious one. She's giving some facts that are from that original webpage, right? Lisa is saying homeowners insurance doesn't cover earthquake damage. Then Mark starts talking about the cost. That's an additional $150 a month, which, these things add up. $150 a month is not too bad. But then you think, well, you're already paying for homeowners insurance, the regular plan. You're probably paying for auto insurance, right? You're maybe paying for, you're paying your mortgage, probably, right? And that's a few thousand a month. You might be paying for health insurance, if you have pets, you might be paying for their insurance. You might have auto loans, school loans, right? Student loans. So, my God, right? That's a lot. Okay, so now here's where it gets interesting, as I mentioned. Okay, so I want to turn this into kind of a communication strategy learning opportunity. So both of them are dismissive of each other's concerns, but eventually they come to understand each other's points of view and reach a compromise. Okay, now we can start looking at how to compromise, how to empathize, how to express different points of view. There's so many things you can do with this conversation. You don't want to do too many things because students should really only focus on one thing at a time, but that's just an example. Okay, we even get some great idioms here. We pay through the nose for insurance. Again, we're still getting the facts here. Okay, so students are learning not just language, not just conversation strategies, but they're also learning important information, right? That they could have gotten from the original article, but now they're getting it repackaged in a different way. And this is how we learn a lot of things in general, if you think about your everyday conversations. Last year, I was doing a lot of my own research on the CalSTRS, the California State Teachers Retirement System, I think. I'd like to retire in about 20 years, but I want to make sure that I'm retiring comfortably. And so I've been doing some research, in preparation for that. I'm still learning things along the way, but, and then I'm learning by reading. On the website, I'm learning from Reddit, discussion boards. I'm learning through videos that I've seen, workshops, webinars, right? So CalSTRS will not only give you the information in the giant handbook, but they do have webinars. So it's a person talking to you, or you're watching a video. You learn through conversations with other people. Unfortunately, it's not always accurate, anytime we're sharing information that way, but it is another way that we learn. We do learn through conversations, right? So I think that's a very authentic way to present information. It doesn't always have to be a giant block of text, of kind of impersonal text, right? Okay. And often we say, I don't want to read this, just tell me about it, right? That's what we do a lot in real life anyway. Okay, so great stuff here, right? Okay, now, one more thing before I end the video is, okay, you say, okay, I've got the script, I've got all the information from the original web page in there, the vital information. Now I've got them kind of arguing a little bit, they're not seeing each other's points of view, and then eventually they learn to understand each other's points of view, and then they compromise, right? I would say the final step you can do is, of course, you want to go over any vocab, phrasal verbs, idioms, all that. But what I've been doing as well is I'm having students analyze the conversation for these communication or conversation techniques, I guess, or strategies. So you can make several questions that require students to analyze how the couple talk to each other. In particular, how do they learn to understand each other's opinions, or I guess points of view, and how do they reach a compromise? Okay, so let's see what ChatGPT gives us. So what are some examples of dismissive comments each character makes? And of course, you would need to explain dismissive. Okay. At what point do Lisa and Mark stop focusing solely on their own concerns? Okay. How do Lisa and Mark use reasoning and evidence? Okay. How does tone? Okay, tone's a little hard. What is the turning point in the conversation? How does Lisa show that she understands? Okay, what strategies do Lisa and Mark use to find common ground? Okay, great stuff, right? Okay, this is way too many questions, of course, but you can take the ones that are best suited for your lesson. I would say one more extension you can do is so TV, movies, sometimes they can serve as good models for real conversations. And of course, just observing people. What I've been doing with these conversation scripts is that, yeah, they listen to them. Oh, I almost forgot to show you the listening part. But let's finish up here with ChatGPT. So one thing I can do is now create role play scenarios where students are in similar situations where one person in the relationship is overly cautious and the other person wants to live life. I'll put that in quotation marks, right? And not worry too much about money or what could happen. Okay. Planning a vacation. Okay, interesting. So again, reaching compromises. Buying a new car. Again, one person has one view, another person has another view. How can they compromise on that? Renovating the kitchen. And of course, you would provide the language again, the phrases, and so on, but great stuff here. Saving for emergencies, and of course, fire and earthquake are emergencies, so those go hand in hand as well. And each partner has a goal. So partner A must argue the importance of being financially prepared for unexpected situations. Partner B must express why enjoying life and spending money is just as important. Great stuff here. Many students are married or in relationships. Many students have kids, so the great stuff to talk about. Health insurance add-ons. Ooh, again, great stuff here. Supplemental insurance, home security, great stuff. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Now, the final thing I wanted to show you, and I almost forgot, is creating listening activities from this script. So this is something I've been doing a lot, especially in my online class. I teach in person and online, is creating my own listening activities. So what I can do is I can take, so where was it here? I can take the original adapted version of the web page, which is still pretty impersonal, right? I can take that. I could turn it into a listening activity. I can take the presentation of the guy expert talking. I can take that and turn it into a listening activity. What I want to do though is I want to take that conversation and I want to turn that into a listening activity because it sounds like a conversation. So I'm going to take this piece of text here and I'm going to put a voice. I'm going to use my voice here. And then I'm going to change the next speaker's voice. So let's, my wife will be...
Life is like a camera. Just focus on what's important.
Life is like a camera. Just focus on what's...
Capture the good times.
I prefer Piper.
Develop.
Okay. And then now my wife is going to say, oh, well, I can just change the name. That's fine. And of course, like I said, you might want to change the names as well. Okay. So I'm going to say Jenny. It's my wife. And then I'm Chris. Oop. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So now let's hear what it sounds like. Now, I don't want to do the whole thing because, first of all, it's going to take too much time to do it right now. And there is a limit to how much I can use, how many minutes I get of AI voices with this membership level. I don't want to go to the next level because that's way too expensive. And I don't need that many hours per month. By the way, the program is called Descript. I'll put a link in the description for the video. But I've been using it. You get a free trial. Of course, it's pretty limited, but it'll give you an idea of, what you're looking for. Okay, let's see how it sounds. Jenny, I really think we should add earthquake insurance to our policy. It's too risky not to have it.
Chris, we're already paying for health insurance, auto insurance, homeowners insurance. At some point, we have to draw the line. We can't insure ourselves against every possible thing.
And there you go. I can export this as an MP3. And of course, it's not perfect. It lacks a lot of the emotion that you would find in a good quality, recording from a textbook or whatever lesson that you would pay for, or podcast, whatever. But you know what? It's very specific to what I need, what I want to share with the students, and that's really what I'm looking for. And you tell the students, ahead of time that it's not exactly accurate to a real conversational, real human, but it's still a good listening practice for them. And, anything that where I really want to communicate with the students, like I send a beginning of the week message, or I send feedback to students, I will record my own voice, of course. I created my own AI voice here, but I won't use that when I'm doing something more personal with the students. Jenny, I really think we should add earthquake insurance to our policy. And sometimes I'll just read, text myself. I'll actually record my voice, and then I'll record it using AI, and I'll ask students to compare the difference as well. So yeah, we'll end it here. All the relevant information, links, and like I said, I'll link the entire, I'll copy the entire ChatGPT conversation here, and I'll put that in a Google Doc, and you can take a look at that as well. And Descript, as I mentioned, I'll link that, and that's what I was using for the AI voice to create those conversations.